Starting as just another bike to becoming the most popular bagger from the brand, from touring to racing, an afterthought to the main focus, with roots leading back to the late 70s. There's no doubt it's one of the best touring bikes ever made. Not to mention, y'all really wanted me to make this one. But hey, my name is Levi, and you probably already know that. But if you don't, on this channel we go over the brass facts, the ins and outs, we dissect everything Harley Davidson, and put it all into a video basically. So if you're into that, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel because we are on the way to 10,000 subscribers by Christmas. I know we can crush it, so yeah, let's make it happen. Anyways, people of the internet, this is the history of the Harley Davidson Road Glide. Touring bikes have been around since like the 1950s. The first one I would say would be the Duo Glide, and that was in about 1958, I believe. It added 2 shocks in the rear and got rid of the rigid, as well as coming with saddlebags for some of the options. And then for the longest time, all you had was the FLH, and some of them had those batwing fairings that personally I'm not a fan of. It was mounted to the forks, so every single time you'd move those handlebars, you are moving the weight of all of that. And though the Road Glide came out in the late 90s, its roots go back pretty far, so we have to discuss that. So the first thing was the FLT. It was basically the Tour Glide, that's what they called it. And the first year was 1979 or the 1980 model year. It was the first to introduce a rubber mounted engine and transmission, and because it was 79, it had the shovel head. It was actually the first to get the 80-inch, was also the first Harley to get the 5-speed transmission, as well as dual headlights, and a fairing that was mounted to the frame, which that means you could move the handlebars freely and not have all that weight with you. Now this was the first real alternative to the electric glide. The fairing that it did have is not technically the shark nose that we know as today, basically the same. It did have a tour pack option, as well as dual disc brakes from the factory, as well as a really ugly like center console dash thing. I'm not a fan of it. I don't know why they just didn't do gauges. But yeah, pretty solid bike, and it came in at around 725 pounds, so also a heavy one. And throughout the 80s, the Tour Glide only got better. So halfway into 1984, the Evo engine was thrown in there, way better than the shovel head in a lot of ways. 1985, they swapped to a belt final drive, which gave a lot of smoothness to the ride. A little more maintenance, but you know, it's a touring bike. You want a nice ride. 1986, they started putting radios in all of these bikes. And in 1989, they had the Ultra package, which only 603 of them were made, but it was basically just like advanced touring. It had lower fairings for your legs, 2-tone paint jobs for the first time on the Tour Glide. A CB radio was added with rear speakers, as well as coming with cruise control. You know, that was a pretty big deal back in the 80s and 90s. And throughout the 90s, not a lot really changed. I mean, there was a ton of different paint options, but you know, they all had that Evo motor with the 5-speed. In 1994, the fairing actually got tweaked just a little bit. Still looks the same, but it was supposed to like deflect air a little better. And the last year of the Harley Davidson Tour Glide was 96. And for this year and this year only, it did come with an option for fuel injection. 1997 though, there was no Tour Glide, no Road Glide. It was, you know, your electric glide and that kind of stuff. 1998 though, first year of the Harley Davidson Road Glide. They cleaned up the dash quite a bit, made it a lot more, you know, pleasing to look at least. If you happen to have a 98 Road Glide, this is actually the first, last, and only year that the Road Glide had the Evo engine. So maybe something a little cool you got there. The fairing was revamped to make it look more like the shark nose that we know today, as well as a new style of gauges. 1999, nothing really changed except for, you know, that twin cam 88. So a pretty solid year, but the turn of the decade would change the Road Glide forever. All Harleys, including touring, switched to 4-piston brake calipers, which made your stopping power go down immensely. They also had a like bigger touring package with the tour pack and the lower legs and all that kind of stuff. But cool thing here, aside from the FXR 2 and 3, the Road Glide got the first Screaming Eagle treatment that Harley's ever done. It was called the FLTR SE. It had that said touring package. They had 2 paint schemes for it. There was a black and orange one, and then like a red maroon looking one. Not too bad. They also came with the 95-inch twin cam and fuel injection. The next year in 2001, they did another Screaming Eagle bike. It was the FLT RSE2. Quite a mouthful. It was the same thing basically as the Screaming Eagle from last year, except it came in a different color, which was like blue, and it had really nice polished mags. 2003, nothing too crazy. It did get that anniversary paint scheme like every single Harley that year. And in 2004, we had a CD player now instead of cassettes. Nothing crazy really happened up until 2007. A lot of cool things actually happened. So Road Glide's got the 6-speed transmission, the 96-inch twin cam that was fuel injected, as well as some more like creature comforts that happened with the Harley company at the time. So like a little bit upgraded brakes, the CAN bus system for all of the electronics. 2008, things would start to shift for the better, in my opinion. All Road Glides were upgraded to a 6-gallon tank. They were changed to throttle by wire. And this is also the year that the brake calipers were all changed to a Harley branded Brembo, as well as given an option for ABS. Who doesn't want ABS? Let's be honest. 2009, the frame was actually refined to make it a little bit more stiffer up front, and the first true CVO Harley model was the Road Glide. They kept with the naming though. It was the FLTRSE3, and then they had 3 different paint schemes. So there was like an orange and black one, they had a silver and black one as well, and then I think my favorite from this era was the yellow and black one. Pretty sharp looking mags. It came with that twin cam 110. Fun fact for you, this was supposed to be the last year of the Road Glide, but we'll talk about that here in a second. So in 2010, the Road Glide was not supposed to exist. A lot of people at the company themselves liked it. They saw a lot of potential with it, so they decided to keep it on, and we're just aiming for like 3 or 4 more years of this. Code for it was the FLTR, and that was changed to the FLTRX. Kind of like they did with the Dyna, when they got rid of the base Super Glide and just made all the standard ones the Super Glide Custom. They did the same thing with this. FLTRX is just Road Glide Custom. It's basically still the standard though. Speaking of Dyna, I have a really cool video right up here if you want to go check it out after this one. The fairing was pushed up a little bit and it was re-angled to deflect more wind and also make room for like the little air vents underneath. It was the only year to offer a 2-in-1 head pipe, and they came with 18-inch front wheels. And instead of the single taillight, they now redesigned it, made them look a lot better in my opinion, as well as lowered the rear end. And up until this point, the Road Glides were all like overshadowed by the Street Glide and the Electric Glide, all those things that were going on. The Road Glide was just kind of sitting in the back, not really getting the love. As most of you know, the Road Glide has definitely put its place in history. There was 2 new models for the Road Glide this year. We had the Road Glide Ultra, or FLTRU. There was an option for the 103 engine. It had a 17-inch front wheel. They had the tour pack and the lower fairings, 2-tone paint, slick mag wheels if I must be honest. And just like the Tour Glide Ultra, the Road Glide Ultra was the same thing. It was just like the Ultra touring package. Even for the standard Road Glide, the 103 was still an option, but not as popular of a pick. This year also, they had another CVO Road Glide. It was actually a CVO Road Glide Ultra, so it was like FLTRUSE1, some crazy amount of letters. It had the Screaming Eagle 110 twin cam, a blinding amount of chrome, and 3 different color options. There was a black and red one, black and silver, and then like a brown and cream colored, which I think was a throwback to the original Tour Glide from the 1980s. 2012 though, huge year for the Road Glide. It was getting a little bit more recognition, as well as just becoming a more popular bike due to like more people finally trying it out. The 103 was standard in all of them now. Once again, there's 3 different models this year. There was that CVO model, the Road Glide Ultra, and then the Road Glide Custom, which is the standard. The CVO had a blue and black model, a white and black model, and then this like brown and black one, which I think is the coolest out of the 3. Basically, they just put more speakers with the saddlebags and the fairing, and then had these really tricked out wheels. 2013 was doing it right though. We had yet again another CVO model, as well as a 110th anniversary paint scheme. There was champagne colored with black, there was red and black, and then gray and black. Then for that 110 anniversary, the brown and black paint. And then it took them long enough, but in 2013, all the CVOs, only the CVOs had the LED headlights. So, and we are getting into the Rushmore era, which, if y'all don't know, basically the executives at Harley went out and asked thousands of questions to a ton of different people. We're basically like, hey, what do you want on a touring model? You know, what are upgrades that people do that we could just do from the factory, save you time and money, and make our bikes a little better for you, the consumer. They introduced this reflex braking system. Basically, all the new bikes have it. If you hit the front brake, the back brake will go a little bit. If you hit the back brake, the front brakes will activate a little bit. They were also fitted out with the 103 twin cam, the high output version, so it had like tiny bit hotter of a cam and like maybe a tenth of compression, like nothing too crazy. The touchscreen infotainment center was, you know, on the Road Glide. Finally, it had better wind protection, even brighter LEDs, and this was even on the standard Road Glide. Stiffer front suspension, and they started to make headlines because they were like liquid cooling the heads. In 2016, couple cool things happened. They added like USB ports, so you can plug in your GPS or charge your phone. Or they also put like the infotainment controls on the handlebars with little joysticks, as well as adding like a little light strip to the back of the tour pack. Before we step into the new era, I do have to mention that these videos take me a long time to make, and I still have a full-time job on top of this. So if you want to support me, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we are trying to hit 10K by the end of the year. And comment down below what you want to see me make a video on next. Anyways, back to the video you came to see. 2017, huge year. The touring bikes got the Milwaukee 8 this year, and it was the 107. It was a little bit later in the year, so it wasn't like for the model year. It got the Milwaukee 8 before the Softails, and that's about it because Harley did not bring any new models. The custom was now the Road Glide Special. So we went from standard to custom to special. It's all the same tier of bike. All of the Road Glides had oil coolers now up front. The linked braking system we spoke about was on all of these new Road Glides, as well as ABS coming standard. The heel toe shifter thing, that made its little debut, and a lot of people were not a fan of this thing. The new Showa suspension, though, on the other hand, they were a fan of. It had an upgraded infotainment center, as well as this design they called the one-touch saddlebags, so you can open it with like one finger. 2018, though, we did get a cool CVO model. It had a 21-inch front wheel, as well as the 117 cubic inch Milwaukee 8. Some pretty sleek paint options, if you ask me. In 2019, the 114-inch Milwaukee 8 was now standard in all of the Road Glides. And it seems to me like most of them all had like blacked out engines, which in my opinion looks a lot cooler. 2020, huge year for the Road Glide. I mean huge. It really put this thing on the map everywhere. The Road Glide Ultra was now renamed to the Road Glide Limited. Same thing. It was just like the extended touring package. They got rid of that heel shifter thing, so that really didn't last long. They got new wheels, as well as heated grips. The Harley Davidson Connect smartphone apps. You could like look at all of your bike performance and statistics through your phone. But the coolest thing, in my opinion, is the King of the Baggers started in 2020. Basically, they just super heavily modified like Road Glides and a bunch of different brands, Indians and all that stuff. You know, it's cool to watch. It's not every day that you see like, you know, a bunch of baggers racing. This is kind of the era where the performance bagger craze really skyrocketed. People have been stunting Dynas and Sportsters and FXRs and all that stuff, but now they were really starting to get crazy on these baggers. 2021, believe it or not, another CVO Road Glide. There was these new wheels, they called them the Prodigy wheels. They were on all of the Road Glides for this year. They redesigned the console a little bit to make it, I don't know, engineers have to keep their jobs, I guess. They had some darker paint colors as well as a lot of blackout options. The next year in 22 though, some pretty cool stuff happened. Once again, CVO Road Glide for like the 15th time. And in lieu of the performance bagger phase that was going on, that still is going on, Harley made the Road Glide ST, which stands for Sport Touring. It had a solo seat with some taller suspension, a lot of rider enhancement technologies like cornering, ABS, and that kind of stuff. In my opinion, it had a sportier look, and the Road Glide Special or standard, had a new option called the Fat Tire Kit, which basically just matched the back tire and the front tire. 2023, another CVO Road Glide. This time it had the 121-inch variable valve timing Milwaukee 8, which, all right, 121, that's pretty big. Rockford Fosgate audio system, an even larger touchscreen, and now there was no more gauges, just the screen. The Road Glide ST, though, did have some changes. There was the 117-inch. They actually shrunk the floorboards a little bit. 2024, that's just last year. Believe it or not, another CVO. When is Harley going to make CVOs of like something else? Probably the most controversial thing of this year was the redesign of the Road Glides. Man, that headlight is terrible. All the Road Glides were upgraded to the 117. They got new wheels, a revised tank, as well as the saddlebags being like a little more square, I guess. I don't know. I like the old style more. And this year, in 2025, the last year I can put in this video, some crazy tech upgrades. We had Apple CarPlay now. Hand controls were upgraded. There were select rider modes, an even larger display, 3 different CVO models for the Road Glide. They had the CVO Road Glide, the CVO Road Glide ST, and then a brand new one called the CVO Road Glide RR. If you want one, you better shell out about $110,000. It's got the 131 crate motor in it, carbon fiber tins, inverted forks, a full Brembo brake setup, and there's only 131 of them being made. The coolest and craziest thing though is probably the fact that it's got 150 horsepower and 150 foot-pounds of torque. That thing must be pretty fun. Obviously, Harley is going to continue to make the Road Glide, but it's 2025. It is mid-September. Anything beyond this, if you're watching in the future. But if you made it to the end, I appreciate each and every single one of you watching. Like I said before, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, comment down below what you want to see next. And that's all I got for you today. That was the history of the Harley Davidson Road Glide. I'm going to see you guys all next week. And don't forget, ride safe, but if you can't do that, ride hard.